I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons first. Thank you so much to my Bibliospren, Bibliohowlers, and my Bibliomancers. It means a lot to me that you give me your extra support for my passion and hobby. Hi everyone, Petrik here. Because we are near the end of the month of April, it is time to talk about all the books that I acquired this month. So in the month of April, I managed to get 14 physical books. And usually in my book haul video, you will see me divide these books that I got into 4 categories. The first one is the books that I bought by myself. And then the second one is usually the books that were gifted to me by my friends. And also the third and the fourth one are books that I got from publishers and self-published fantasy authors in exchange for reading and reviewing. Yeah, these are the 4 categories on my book haul videos. But for today's video, because this month, all the books that I bought from Book Depository haven't arrived, even though I bought them since the month of February. And yeah, none of them have arrived yet. So because of that, I have no physical books that I bought by myself that arrived this month. And believe me, there are plenty of books that I bought from Book Depository, especially after hearing the sad news, the unfortunate news that Book Depository is closing down a few days from now. And yeah, of course, I did a panic book buying, but none of them have arrived yet. You will see these books in probably next month, the next month, and then the next month again, assuming that they all arrive within this period of time. And because none of the books that I bought by myself arrived this month, there is of course an option to talk about the digital books that I bought by myself, assuming this kind of situation happen again in the future. But I'm also afraid if I do that, the length of my book haul videos will be even longer than usual. Do let me know whether you prefer me to do a digital book haul or not. Anyway, let's move on to talk about all the books that I got this month, starting from the books that were gifted to me. And for this category, I have one book, and this one is being gifted to me by my wife for an anniversary gift, 1-year anniversary gift, and it is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I haven't read anything by Samantha Shannon yet. I know that she is very popular on her work for Priory of the Orange Tree. And this one, A Day of Fallen Night, is a standalone prequel novel to Priory of the Orange Tree. I think this one takes place hundreds of years before the events of Priory of the Orange Tree. But this is again another standalone novel, and take a look at this cover art. It is absolutely stunning. I am so happy with this gift. And I look forward to reading Samantha Shannon's books for the first time. I am still not sure whether I will start from Priory of the Orange Tree or A Day of Fallen Night. But usually I follow publication order, so I think there's a good chance I will start reading from Priory of the Orange Tree before reading A Day of Fallen Night, even though this is a standalone prequel novel. I do not know anything about the story here at all. But yeah, this cover art is absolutely stunning. Ivan Belikov is the cover artist, and this is a wraparound cover art. See? I love wraparound cover art, especially one as gorgeous as A Day of Fallen Night. And yeah, I'm so happy with this gift. I look forward to reading this for the first time, whenever that is. Now we move on to the next category. Time to talk about the 3 self-published fantasy books sent to me by self-published fantasy authors this month. And the first one is The Fear of Moncroa by Brian Asher. This one is a vampire epic fantasy, and I think based on the receptions it has received so far, I think this one is another great take on vampire epic fantasy, and I look forward to reading this. This one is actually quite short. It's only about 200 pages long. See, it is a thin book. Yeah, the cover art is done by Christian Angel, and there is also plenty of gorgeous interior illustration done by the same artist, Christian Angel. I actually did the cover reveal to this one, and I just want to say thank you so much to Brian Asher for sending me this book. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this one is also a standalone novel. And The Fear of Moncroa is a story about Davian, the last surviving member of the royal vampiric court. And as the last surviving member of this royal vampire court, he has to mask himself with potions from the people that want to kill him, until an unknown swordsman arrives and he is going to hunt him down. And yeah, I think that's the premise of The Fear of Moncroa, if that's actually the correct way to pronounce it. And I look forward to reading this when I'm in need of a palate cleanser. It is a short book. Hopefully it is a good one. Hopefully it is as good as the cover art. And then the next self-published fantasy book I got is another one that I did the cover reveal, and this is for The Return of the Knights by Gregory Contassis. This is the first book in a Dance of Light series, and it is a pitch as A Song of Ice and Fire meets Greek mythology. Well, I do not know whether this will fit the A Song of Ice and Fire pitch or not, because so many epic fantasy actually say they are A Song of Ice and Fire inspired, or well, something like A Song of Ice and Fire meet this, and this. But as far as I know, Gregory Contassis is an author from Greek, and this book was originally published in Greek. It has been translated into English by a professional translator, and whether it is the Greek language edition or the English edition, both of them have received plenty of great reviews so far, especially the Greek edition. Hopefully there won't be any case of things getting lost in translation, and I look forward to reading this. I think this sounds pretty good. And as far as I know, even though this is pitched as Song of Ice and Fire, I do not think this is a grim-dark epic fantasy novel. On the positive side, Greek mythologies or Greek-inspired story are some of my favorite stories to experience or to read. And I am keeping my fingers crossed this will be an awesome Greek-inspired epic fantasy novel. As for the last self-published fantasy book I got this month, it is for a special edition, and this is for Renia by Carl Forshaw. This is the first book in the Luna Roinam series, and I think this is a steampunk fantasy series. It is a beautiful edition though. It comes in a black spray edges, and also this one is signed and numbered out of 300 copies, I think. I think there are still some available on the author's website, so if you're interested in getting yourself a copy of this special edition with the black spray edges, make sure to check out the author's website. As for what the book is about, I haven't read this book yet. I heard plenty of great things, but I just want to say that it has a great premise. I will just say the blurb quickly here. The halls of Ven are the seat of both knowledge and power in the great continent of Luna Ruinum. Renia, a scribe with a tragic past, spends her days expertly copying books that do little to satiate her desire for knowledge. When a fateful commission lands on her desk, she finds herself tasked with transcribing a book coveted by assassins from the southern continent. Its theft throws the scribing halls into chaos and threatens to destroy the fragile peace that exists between their nations. Haunted by dreams of her past, Renia must learn to master her impulse and awaken her long-dormant magical abilities if she is to prevent war. Fate, it would seem, is eager to grant her wishes. Yet she must risk everything to pursue it and pay the bloody price it demands. I have no idea when I will get around to this, but I have a very good feeling about this one, and I always love reading a steampunk epic fantasy novel. Well, not always, but there is a good chance I will end up loving it, because I do not think we have enough steampunk epic fantasy novels in fantasy. So that's it for the self-published fantasy books I got this month. And before I talk about all the traditionally published fantasy books I got, I want to showcase two special editions I got from the Broken Binding this month. It feels like it has been a while since I talked about the Broken Binding books somehow on my channel, and I'm glad I got two copies of some of my most coveted books from the Broken Binding this month. And the first one is The Speaking Bones by Ken Liu. Yes, I finally got myself a copy of Speaking Bones, the Broken Binding edition. I think many of you know how much I love the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu by now. The Wall of Storms and also Speaking Bones, the fourth book in the Dandelion Dynasty series, are my books of the year last year. It's safe to say that last year, 2022, is the year of the Dandelion Dynasty for me. And because of this acquisition, because this finally arrived in my place, well, I now finally own the entire Broken Binding edition of the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu, and I'm so grateful for this. And that's not all. Speaking Bones is not the only conclusion of a series I got from the Broken Binding this month. The other one is again another conclusion to one of my favorite series of all time, and it is probably one series that I have talked about on my channels way too many times, and it is Rat by John Gwynne. This is the fourth book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and now because I finally own the Broken Binding edition of Rat, it means I now own all books published by John Gwynne, all of them in hardcover format. So thank you so much to the Broken Binding for sending me a copy of Speaking Bones and also Rat. It took much longer than I expected to receive these two books, but now I finally own a completed set of The Faithful and the Fallen and also the Dandelion Dynasty, the Broken Binding edition, and I'm so pleased by this. How could I not be? The Faithful and the Fallen and also the Dandelion Dynasty are some of my top favorite series of all time. And if you still haven't read this series yet, and if you haven't attempted reading through them, it's okay if you do not like them after you attempted them, but if you haven't tried them yet, I highly recommend them. They are truly amazing and some of the best books that I've read in fantasy. And now let's talk about the standard editions I got from traditional publishers this month. I'm going to talk about 8 books and then I'm going to close this book haul videos. And the first one is Lords of Uncreation by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the third and final book in the final architecture trilogy. And now that I finally own the final book in this trilogy, I think it is time. It is time for me to start reading this series. Based on my experience with reading Tchaikovsky books, I think there's a really good chance I will end up enjoying them. I've read Children of Time, Children of Ruin, and I think The Doors of Eden. I enjoyed the 3 of them, The Doors of Eden being my favorite of the 3. And here's hoping that the final architecture trilogy, which has such a gorgeous cover art, I'm hoping that this one will be my favorite by Adrian Tchaikovsky so far. It is hard to catch up to his list of books, okay? He has published so many books and in such a rapid pace, it is hard to catch up to his list of books, but I'm hoping I will end up loving this one. And I want to say thank you to Black Crow and also Tor UK for sending me a copy of the Lords of Uncreation. I'm still waiting for my copy of Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu being sent to me by Black Crow and also Tor UK. Hopefully that one will arrive next month. So that one was sent to me by Tor UK, and the next one I'm going to show you is sent to me by Gollancz, and this is Trash of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Well, I think you know my thoughts on this First Secret Project novel. This is the mass market edition, the one published by Gollancz and also Tor Books. But I personally love the cover art to the UK edition more than the cover art to the US edition. But I should probably let you know about this. If you're in a dilemma of thinking whether you want to get the US edition or the UK edition, if you do not mind not having some interior artworks, then you might want to get yourself a copy of the UK edition, this one with the cover art done by Sam Green. Like all the other books by Brandon Sanderson, the UK edition, all of them are done by Sam Green as well, with the white cover art and also his iconic style. But the US edition published by Tor Books actually has the beautiful end paper that is contained in the Dragonsteel edition of Trash of the Emerald Sea. And it also has one of the full-color interior artworks done by Howard Lyon. So that's something to consider when you want to get yourself a copy of Trash of the Emerald Sea. Personally, I already own a copy of the Dragonsteel edition of Trash of the Emerald Sea, so I'm happy with this gift from Gollancz. Really happy, because I think the UK edition, with the exception of the Stormlight Archive, when it comes to Brandon Sanderson's books, I prefer the UK cover art compared to the US edition. But when it comes to the Stormlight Archive, of course, I prefer the US edition with the cover art done by Michael Whelan. But thank you so much, Gollancz, for sending me a copy of Trash of the Emerald Sea, the mass market edition. If you still haven't read this book, this is one of my favorite books of the year. Consider this like a Princess Bride or fairy tale version of the Cosmere. It's so good. It's really good. Now moving on to the next one, time to show you the 3 books I got from Orbit Books this month. And the first one is The Combat Codes by Alexander Darwin. This was originally a self-published fantasy book, or a self-published fantasy sci-fi to be more precise, and I've read this one in the self-published edition. So I haven't read the traditionally published edition yet. I've heard that it has received a new round of editing and also a few changes that supposedly will enhance the book and series. I look forward to reading this again someday, but I want to say thank you so much to Alexander Darwin and Orbit Books for sending me a new copy of the Combat Codes. I really enjoyed reading the first and the second book in the trilogy. I thought the third book was the weakest of the trilogy, but I also heard from Alexander Darwin there will be plenty of changes being done to the third book of the series. So that's exciting. So the new and traditionally published edition of the Combat Codes will be released in the month of June 2023. And the next one that I got from Orbit Books will be released on the month of June as well. And this is something I'm super excited about, because this is Gods of the Weirdwood by R.J. Barker. Yes, the newest book by R.J. Barker. I've read everything published by R.J. Barker, the Wounded Kingdom trilogy and also the Tide Child trilogy. I loved all of them. I think R.J. Barker is one of the most criminally underrated fantasy authors right now, and I'm so excited about this one. This is the first book in the Forsaken trilogy. I've read only a few pages of the Gods of the Wordwood so far, just to give it a try, just to, taste the sample of it. And well, just like how the Tightchild trilogy was so different compared to the Wounded Kingdom trilogy, this also, I have a good feeling that this will be so different compared to all books published by R.J. Barker so far. But based on my experience with R.J. Barker's books, I think I can expect great things from him. And also, similar to the Tightchild trilogy, this one also has a map, beautiful map, done by Tom Parker. Take a look at this. I think this one looks beautiful, and I cannot wait to find out the story behind this location. And finally, the last book that I got from Orbit Books this month is a book that I'm currently reading, and I'm almost done with this one. This is the conclusion to the Drowning Empire trilogy by Andrea Stewart, The Bone Shard War. I have about 150 pages left before I'm done with this book, so I think by the time I posted this video, I will be done with this book. And so far, I must say that this one has the potential to become my favorite of the trilogy. So far, based on what I've read anyway, it all depends on the final 150 pages. If it actually landed the ending, then yes, it will be my favorite of the trilogy, to an already good trilogy, and I will certainly look forward to what Andrea Stewart is writing next. The Bone Shard Daughter was my favorite fantasy debut of 2020, so just the fact that I think this one actually tops the Bone Shard Daughter so far, I think that's a really good sign. And yeah, I think the cover art done by Sasha Vinogradova is so beautiful. It's relatively rare to see the color purple being displayed on a fantasy cover art, and I think this one looks really nice. Although on the matter of intricacies, I do like the details and intricacies of the previous two books more. But I cannot deny that Sasha Vinogradova did a great job on all three books, on the cover art of all three books. You will hear my thoughts, you will hear my full thoughts regarding the Bone Shard War in my monthly wrap-up. And now we move on to the final three books that I got, and all three of these are actually manga and manhwa. So this is the first time Yen Press and Ize Press sent me physical books. And I am genuinely happy about this because Yen Press and Ize Press publish a lot of manga and manhwa that I love. And the first one that I got from Yen Press is The Witch and the Night Must Survive. This one is illustrated by Gonbe Shinkawa and with the story done by Dai Chikamoto. So I did not know anything about The Witch and the Night Must Survive prior to receiving this book. And now I've actually read this one today. And I think this one has a potential for the rest of the manga to be better. But again, when it comes to the matter of manga, I always allow it like 5 to 10 volumes before fully deciding whether the manga will be for me or not. But as far as artwork goes, this one is beautiful. It is beautifully illustrated, and hopefully the books will be even better by the second volume. Just as a preview, I'm going to show you the first page here. Ta-da! It is fully colored, and another page is something like this. So this is a story about Agredios, a son of a local landowner who comes home after his hunt only to find his entire village decimated. And now he's hunting the witch that he thinks killed the entire village, only to find that the witch is not what he expected to be. And then the story goes on from there. But again, this is just the first volume. I look forward to reading the second volume as soon as it's out, because I do not think the book is actually out yet. And speaking of a book that isn't out yet, the next one that I got is an advanced reading copy, and I think this is a finished copy of The Horizon. This is a manhwa. I have actually read the webtoon version of this one. I have finished reading the webtoon version. It is one of the most highly praised webtoon series, even though it's only 3 volumes, but it is absolutely thought-provoking. It is a post-apocalyptic story. It is dark. It is so dark. It has one of the most impactful ending I've read in the manhwa series, and it is a story about a boy and a girl trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. It is so good. If you do not mind reading a dark post-apocalyptic story, then try reading this one, The Horizon. Make sure to put this on your radar. And I actually did not know there would be a physical version of this, and I'm glad Yen Press and Ize Press sent me a copy of this one. And finally, the last manhwa and the last book that I got this month, it is an ongoing physical books in my list of favorite manhwa. This is the 6th volume to Solo Leveling. Yes, Solo Leveling is one of my favorite manhwa series of all time. I've read this manhwa series 2 times now, and the next time I do another reread of this manhwa series, I want to do it from the physical books published by Yen Press and Ise Press. It is so good. This manhwa series is just so good. It is action-packed. I think the characters are well done, and there is not enough great things I can say about the artwork. The artwork definitely helps carry Solo Leveling to its completion. The artwork got my attention, and it enhanced the quality of the narrative so much because this is an action-packed manhwa series, and yeah, the artwork matters a lot. The story is alright, but the actions, they were amazing with enough characterizations given to the main characters and supporting characters. Love this manhwa so much, and I highly recommend this manhwa series. I think the next volume, the 7th volume, will actually conclude the first season of the webtoon series, the webtoon edition of Solo Leveling. And yeah, that one will be pretty badass. But that's it. That's all the 14 books that I got this month. I want to say thank you so much to all the self-published fantasy authors and also traditional publishers who sent me these books. It means a lot that all of you still gave me these books, especially now that, well, Book Depository is closing. It will be much harder for me to buy books by myself now. Much harder. I do have my local bookstore, but again, the price can be very expensive there, and their collection are not as completed or comprehensive like Book Depository. So yeah, but anyway, do let me know what you think about my book haul video, and let me know how many books you got this month and which books I showcased earlier do you think are the most interesting. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.